criminals out on bail. Honest men catching their tail in the homemade jail. You can't walk the streets no more. Afraid to open your door like you're fighting war. We living in jail. We living in jail. Freedom gone clean out of we control. Watch the houses you have to build. Burglar proof iron doors and people. And a high concrete wall still. You're losing a mess. You have to eat less. And it's not that the times are so hard, but you have to spend to feed about 10. Doberman that guard in the yard. Living in jail. Living in jail. Look, even the old and frail beg mercy to no avail. It's a sad, sad tale. New TV and videotape, they take and before escape, they looking great. We living in jail. We living in jail. Everybody talking about freedom, but it's like everybody blind. If you think we living in freedom, the freedom only in your mind. Every day I look, criminals and crook, terrorizers they run amok, while for you and me, behind lock and key, moving wrong like a witch, living in jail. While criminals out on bail, honest men catching their tail in the homemade jail. You can't walk the streets no more. Afraid to open your door like you're fighting war. We living in jail. We living in jail. Freedom gone clean out of we control. Watch the houses you have to build. Burglar proof iron doors and people. And a high concrete wall still. You're losing a mess. You have to eat less. And it's not that the times are so hard, but you have to spend to feed about 10. Doberman that guard in the yard. Living in jail. Living in jail. Look, even the old and frail beg mercy to no avail. It's a sad, sad tale.
Yesterday, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is, of course, the Tuesday edition of the Corridor Transformation. My apology once again, of course, for the tardiness, but it was due to technical, issues that sometimes occur when you least expect it. So, but nonetheless, we have a bumper program for you this night and this time. And indeed, of course, it has to do, of course, with whether or not, of course, what transpired in the Al-Balize house of blood money edifice, a blood money monstrosity. In other words, stolen money. The PNM Rowley and the leadership of the party and his ministers and cabinet and parliamentarians have the belly, the audacity, the temerity, the gall, and the effrontery to go in that blood money edifice called Balize House. They can't tell us how that was built, where the money came from. The party itself, of course, are claiming to have been bankrupt in 2015. Over $100 million. Two monstrosities they built. They renovated, of course, the old ramshackle, broken down part of it, which they started, of course, after the main building on the western side. The former car park started, and they finished that, and now, of course, having meetings there, while, of course, the monstrosity on the western side of bricks, mortar, steel is going up, or should I say, is in finishing state. I say to you that we have a duty and responsibility to make certain that that doesn't finish and it stays there as a lasting and, of course, representation of what ought not to be in government, to symbolize the greed, the avarice, mismanagement, corruption, nepotism, and manipulation of the state resources, yours and mine, the citizens' resources, in order to build that for their own aggrandizement, and then telling us that they are men and women of integrity, and that their integrity cannot be, of course, questioned, and that they are impeccable, and that they cannot mash ants. But I say to you that that is a fallacy that we all must become conscious of, as that monstrosity and indeed that macabre and evil and wicked and kleptocratic a piece of real estate on which Balize House now stands. With blood money, it has been constructed of the resources of the country, and therefore we must, of course, stand strong, stand firm, and say to them, it must be, of course, a procession to jail. They must be, of course, be held criminally and civilly liable for what they have done to the population. Quite apart from that, but that is the symbol. You see, it is nothing different to Saddam Hussein. They build monuments of themselves, of the people's sweat, and the people's, of course, efforts, and the people's resources. But that is what the PNM has done under Rowley, and now he wants to depart and leaving the rest of them in total turmoil to take the fall. No. He will be, of course, by way of dragnet, be incorporated. He will have to account for that monstrosity and the many other projects that we know that have been the subject of overruns. The latest, of course, is the airport in Tobago, the A&R Robinson so-called extension project. Overruns, overpriced, and at our expense. And yet still they have the audacity to then, of course, take the recommendation of the salary review committee or commission on board to augment by 20 and 30% the salaries of these rapscallions, indolents, and, of course, total ne'er-do-wells, thieves, and conmen and conwomen. That is what they are, and they must, of course, accept that as a fact. And those apologists haul all your tails, because all you have encouraged and pretend standing, of course, with 2020 vision and pretending to be blind, whilst, of course, these people rob us blind for the last 10 years. We must understand that we have an opportunity with our index fingers to, of course, say to Rowley and his bunch of thieves that no more, no more, no more, and forever be, of course, be relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. That is where we must go, and that is the responsibility we have as a people, to whom? To not just our present generation, but also to the future generations of Trinidad and Tobago and those up and coming, and of course are clearly in a state of disarray, as a SOE had to be, of course, instituted. SOE had to be instituted. SOE had to be instituted in order to, of course, curb and to let our young men and women understand that they must, of course, take another route. But frankly, how can they, when the government itself is a criminal enterprise under a criminal entity called the PNM? You doubted me? Well, indeed. My job is, of course, is to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. And therefore, of course, we must prove what we say and say what we can prove. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, the procession of these people to prison started, of course, yes. It started with, of course, going to Balize House, that blood money enterprise. A blood money enterprise. And talking about their business. Talking about their business at our expense. Look them. Entering Balize House. Look the bars. So I consider to be the Balize jail that they went into in order to discuss our business and leave it in limbo. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So the term living in jail is appropriate. Let's say it again.
Behind lock and key, moving wrong like a witch, living in Why criminals out on bail, honest men catching their tail in the homemade jail. You can't walk the streets no more, afraid to open your door like you fighting war.
Yes, people, we are living in jail in a state of emergency. So that is double jail. Whilst they're going to their, what I consider to be prison domain, they're called Balize House, where they stole our money to construct and sit inside there with some degree of luxury at our expense, and then tell us that elections will not be called even when it becomes constitutionally due in August of this year, because they want to settle their own internal business at our expense. 1.5 million people, a few of them by September. Hold on your tail. You cannot, of course, avoid jail.
It's a sad, sad day.
Yes, indeed. People, so once again, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Welcome, of course, to the Corridor Transformation. Your host, Lennox Smith. And, of course, those in the East, West, North, Central, in Trinidad or friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is, of course, another edition of the Corridor Transformation. And tonight, of course, we will discuss to what extent that, of course, that shenanigan, that implosion of the PNM is at our expense, and more significantly, identify the areas where the entire cabinet, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, have conspired individually and collectively to cheat us, to steal from us, and then, of course, they go away in their respective, of course, domain. Whether they consider it to be, of course, a retreat, or they consider it to be reclusing themselves or recusing themselves, is irrelevant. The fact is, they cannot account and have not accounted in any transparent, acceptable, accountable way, or as far as accountancy principles are concerned, for that construction of that building that they are entering in. I consider it to be the Balizé jail. The Balizé jail, from which, of course, eventually they must emerge to go into Royal Jail, to go into, of course, the other jails that are in the eastern part of this country. Yes. Including Carrera. That is the evil that we have, purporting to be ministers and managing our affairs under false, fake, evil, avarice, conman and conwoman. Clearly, agendas that is inconsistent with what the population expects as they rob our children, as they rob the current generation, as they rob those young people who would have left school in July of last year, and those the year before and the year before, and cannot find a job, whilst they, of course, feather their respective nest at our expense and suspend, of course, the elections. It was the Privy Council that indicated and conspicuously and loudly told us that the Rowley administration is anti-democratic. Is prepared, of course, to steal or to use the limited power that they would have had in the parliament. Today, only 21 seats. And then proceed to postpone elections. In this case, of course, would have been the local government elections. And if it wasn't for the loyal and committed and dedicated and people-centered opposition led by Kamala Prasad Bisesa, we would have still been waiting possibly for a local government election. Because if they postpone their own election, if Rowley postponed his own election, claiming in the beginning, of course, that is clearly was to fool us, things have come full circle. We know who he is. He's a despot. He's an egotist. He, of course, is a fellow who is prepared, of course, to engage in draconian measures as if he's a total and absolute student of Machiavelli, Machiavellian politics that he has demonstrated. All for them alone. Well, I want to tell him, and I want to tell all of you, whether you believe that you are eating a bread and must hush your mouth, or whether you are paid to betray us with 30 pieces of silver of our money, I want to tell you, those days have long gone since the French Revolution. Yes, when Louis VIII was eventually beheaded. Yes, that has long gone. And therefore to implement that as if somehow he is in a democratic environment, a Maduro, a modern day, of course, dictator. Well, I say to Rowley and, of course, the PNM, who have now captured government, their toxicity is overwhelming, and the countenance thereof, the toleration of such a despotic and evil and anti-democratic stance cannot be tolerated in Trinidad and Tobago and must not be tolerated, and we must speak out. There they go, inside, of course, of their jail called the Balizé jail. Look them behind the bars. Yes, indeed. And Rowley, of course, it's just a matter of time. And therefore, we also have to ask whether or not there is more in the mortar than the pestle, as we discovered last night, and of course the day before, and on the GROG report this morning, that whether or not there is more in the mortar than the pestle in terms of why Rowley suddenly want to make his exit, and still, of course, attempted to have some kind of residual influence on the PNM. Don't forget, of course, that the lines are open. The lines are open. The numbers are across your screen. 337-6940 is the one to call. 337-6940. Of course, if you wish to make a contribution to the program, we will also appreciate that. Any support we will appreciate to improve, of course, our delivery capacity on this program, because we have some others that we will be rolling out. The number to call in that circumstance is 365-6493. 365-6493. Of course, my assistants will take your call right now, if you are so minded to assist. But once again, it is about, of course, jail for this entire cabinet. What is the argument? What is the argument? Let's go to the lines, and then, of course, when we come back, we will now develop the argument to ensure that you understand why Rowley and they must be making a jail. A pleasant good night.
A pleasant good night to you, Professor Lennox Smith.
Pleasant good night to you as well, my friend.
So I see Twiggy decided to do a live sometime, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, based on that statement what Guy Griffith make with the Stuart Young stepdaughter. After all them years, you now realize that the young lady is a relative and she make a mistake. So all these African youths and them that they hold for various crimes, so them didn't make a mistake too. Lennox.
It's argument of convenience and, of course, self-righteous indignation. That's another term. But the other one, of course, is situational ethics. What is right for them, even though they have no moral authority after they speak that way? And because they may have been in the position to, of course, make the dictate so that they could discriminate against one and, of course, favor another. And clearly, that statement suggests that. But go ahead, my friend.
Lennox, you know my father used to say about people like those, when you're evil, you don't have to do them nothing, you know. The wickedness in them does destroy them. Evil slay the wicked. And that is what's going on with Gary Griffith and all of them who align themselves with the PNM government. You hear that piece and you hear that nonsense he talk now, he continue want to throw the police service and the bus. If these people and them who hold in government office don't understand the level of demonic entity they're condoling called the PNM, these people and them are satanic. I had a cousin, Lennox, the dead at PNM. He tell me he's PNM until he dead, but you know what that man tell me before he died? He tell me that Keith Rowley is a beast in human form, and he said that man the shitty wife shine like an old dog. That man tell me that. He say underneath Kamala, he used to have 3 super gang running. I say underneath Kamala, he get a lot of things done for his gangs and them. But Rowley, that man say Rowley's a beast in human form. But Rowley worse than that. Rowley is Hades himself. He's Hades.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Wow.
Lennox, I want to drive this thing straight home, you know, because the black people right now paying the ultimate price. Lennox, I just watch them at the side of the road, twisting a hand, 30 grams of marijuana. All it take away the little laptop what Camilla was giving them. all the closing all these trade school, all the drilling school, all the aviation university with black people. Well, I showed the video to many people, black people were learning to fly plane and helicopter. All the closing, all of that. To say what? We more black than them? It come like the axe and the tree. The tree say let me vote for the axe because the axe is one of us. And when they elect the axe had to chop them down because the head of the axe is metal. That is the evil we're dealing with in Trinidad and Tobago. And these people, when they were supporting the PNM, don't want to recognize that being hoodwinked for the past 9 years, could be even longer. Because this thing is our generation, because passed on from all the way from Eric Williams. And if Eric Williams should still on somebody countertop, we need to get it right and dump it in the sea. Because somebody having some evil entity here in the form of the PNM government. And they see that Balize house with a bill, we have to turn that into a whole shelter for all the lives that they destroy this place called Trinidad and Tobago. Lennox, Electoral, and listening.
Well said, my friend. Well said, my friend. That I tell you that what I have taken note of, and that is something that I keep regurgitating and admonishing the presenters on this program, that you cannot say that people are still considering or gravitating to the PNM, or people still want to vote for them. No, you cannot say people. I like when he said he was very eclectic and very, very specific when he said that, because those people who, and that is important. But to tell us that people still like them and people, no, it suggests a sort of unanimity or a healthy majority, when in fact it is, of course, a further depreciated minority. And those who, of course, are still somehow recalcitrant, can't face the reality, they are reluctant so to do. They are living, of course, in a fantasy world. Not only must we feel sorry for them, but we must continue, of course, to show every night, every day, and every opportunity the fact that these people are poison, and the poison extends large. And of course, it is extremely what I consider to be all-encompassing, as well as, of course, all-pervasive. And if they have not yet been totally consumed, it's just a matter of time. Evil cannot prevail over good. But the time in which it is prevailing, it is going to, of course, deliver havoc, pain, ache, agony, stress, oppression, as we are seeing, of course, emanating from Balize House and from the leadership of the PNM. So there they go, inside, of course, of that monstrosity, over $100 million and counting. But, of course, I consider to be a Balize jail. And, of course, when they would have exited that after the next elections, and I say, and I continue to promote, I said 27, I now upgrade to 39 seats in Trinidad. They could say what they want. All the haters and also the well-wishers, or who, of course, are wishing for the PNM, the opposite. But it will be a dark, dark, dark day in hell for them in the context of Trinidad and Tobago and our politics. You see, I heard a fella this morning, I think he's called Mr. Porter Spain, a total nincompoop. When we played, of course, the information that he was shocked, he was shell-shocked. He stopped, he paused. When he was saying that, of course, the UNC did not provide the funding for the Arima, the Grandi, and the Point Fortin hospitals. And when we played it from the horse's mouth, I could sense the shockwave that started, of course, from the top of his cranium or the base of the brain, straight down his spinal cord. And then, of course, he had to come and try to salvage some dignity by coming with some hogwash that is never, of course, nestled in any fact. And all of which we can dispel, all of them we can dispel, because they simply have not understood that not only are they not capable, but they are entering where angels fear. Angels fear, but they enter. And then therefore, of course, they will feel the wrath, because no holds bar. This is all out political war. And all will be exposed and revealed. Let's go to the lines. Pleasure, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, welcome, sir. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Mr. Lennox Smith?
Yes, speaking. Yes, right here.
Hello?
Hold on, a pleasant good night. Hold on, we have another person on the handset, so just hold on, caller. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead on this line.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Weeks, hold on. I have another caller on the handset, so hold on. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, I'm calling from Rio Claro.
Okay, go ahead, Rio Claro. Go ahead, Rio Claro.
Yeah, first time caller.
First time caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah, what I enjoy your program. I listen to your program regularly for years, and it's a very good program. But what I want to say now, these areas where the PNM neglect here, boy, this Rio Claro area, my area, Guayagua, Tabakite, all this is PNM neglect this area. They are doing nothing in this area, nothing at all. Right? The drainage, everything gone by the bush, the roadside, nothing, Mr. Lennox.
Yeah, and they will tell you that everything is honky dory. How Moody say this and the IMF say that, and of course they will pave a road, a main thoroughfare where they bring the cameras, and of course as if they are lamb to the slaughter. Talking about, of course, the traditional media, they go and they take that. And then, of course, they make it part and parcel of their news or their feature story and so on, because they're getting, of course, paid for that 30 pieces of silver, just as Judas. But at the end of the day, we know what happened to Judas. He committed suicide when he realized what evil he would have done to him and his generation and future generations.
I'm enjoying your program very good, very good. So keep it up, Mr. Lennox, and everything.
Thank you very much, of course. And share. Let me pause to say at one time. Share, friend, family, even your enemies. Just share it. We want to reach at least 20,000 a night, but of course we have to upgrade our facility as well, our telephone system and so on, in order to accomplish that. But
okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Of course, but the longest journey begins with what? A single step. And I believe in that. It was Confucius who said that, the Chinese philosopher. Let's go to the line. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Weeks.
Yeah. Good night, Dr. Lennox.
Good night to you, my friend.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago. Good night, all the listeners worldwide. What I find funny, right, is as it come close to election year, right?
Yes.
We get state of emergency. We only want to step down, right? They want to extend the state of emergency. Well, I hear you saying they have a station where they take off the lights and the police hiding from the criminals and all them things. What it looking like to me, right? It looking like is they want to call an election. They stand up because it come like you're inviting the criminals to start something with the police. So this place will end up like Haiti. That is why vibes, you know. You understand? So
I hear you.
Yeah, we had to watch.
We will not put that beyond the PNM. Dr. Rory is a rambunctious, obscene, nasty, wicked, diabolical, and he don't mind the whole country. Is destroyed once he gets his way and pretend somehow that he has, of course, done justice to the country, when in fact, he has destroyed the country.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he invited the criminals to start something, man.
Right, and
Anyhow,
and you know, there I can tell you about the underground, and I'm telling you that that and a pink donkey he will not see. They will stand their ground and they will wait and wait and wait and wait. He will not lure them into taking the kind of action that he believes would justify, of course, a continued state of emergency.
That's
and, of
right.
course, a chaos that will, of course, cause
Yes.
the opposition and all to, of course, have to support them. I say to you, young men who, of course, are engaged in criminal behavior and or gangs, settle your matters. Get registered, and be ready, of course, to save your country and bring it back to some decency and some element of civility, having been, of course, gone to the dogs by a group of dogs that clearly was never here and was never there for us, but for their own aggrandizement and their avarice and greedy pocket lining agenda. So, yes, sir. So,
all right.
That's it. Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, Dr. Lennox.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let us go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello.
Pleasant good
Hello,
night.
good
Welcome.
night.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Wayne.
Hey, Mr. San Fernando, and please say where you're calling from so that I don't have to say this line and that line, because I really don't have a line as such. But if you say I'm calling from San Fernando, I'm calling from Princeton, I could easily say, well, Mr. Princeton, hold on. And of course, Mr. San Fernando, you go ahead, you know. So we have some level of order and, of course, a common sense approach to making sure that we get all the contributions. Go ahead, my friend. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. San Fernando.
San Fernando
Yes.
calling.
Yes.
Okay. As I tell you a couple of weeks ago, right? When you're closing the bars, it's to keep that bar shut, right? Now, listen to this. I sometimes wonder who it is sign off on giving this man a doctorate. who signed off on that? I don't know. The mere fact that this man could bring something like false emails to the parliament, that tells me that this man has no sense. Because it put the country through spending millions plus embarrassment for Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Now, the reason why I tell you really is to keep them bars shut, right? Is as I say, right? The fine now, he called a SOE, right?
Yeah.
A state of emergency.
Yeah.
And that was to control the gangs in the hotspots.
So he says.
Not so?
Yeah. So as to save lives, and but the opposition leader had a good case. Why didn't you call it in January, when of course she said when she recommended it, just as how she recommended, of course, to have a debate on COVID, which of course they resisted, and then of course claiming afterwards that they're number one in the world, that proved to be a total and absolute lie and a betrayal, of course, of their own integrity and the people having regard to the poor state of affairs that exercise was executed. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but my take on it is this.
Yeah.
If no, we have what does call it? Ministry of National Security, right?
Yes.
You have an airport in Trinidad, and if you have an immigration thing set up,
yeah,
you can't pass through the airport with something like a razor blade, because they're gonna find it, right? And you could be in big trouble.
Yeah.
I'm just using that analogy.
Yeah, okay, that example.
You can't pass
right,
through. Yes. Yeah, you can't pass through Piaco Airport with a gun. You can't bring in guns through the airport.
Yeah, because
right?
it's metal detector is supposed to, of course, quickly detect
but
that.
Then, but then look at this. Kamla give you 12 boats to man the waters of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Right? And right now, If you can't pass through, I understand the logic, you know.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you can't pass through the airport with a gun, or you can't bring in your arms and ammunition because it's heavy fines if they catch you coming through there, right? But yet say we bottom open on the waters.
Yeah. Yeah, they have what is called ostrich-type policies. They bury their head in the sand and they leave the whole torso or the whole backside exposed.
Exposed.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Yeah.
How you?
Mr. Faizaman, hold on.
People,
we have another Mr. San Fernando on the line.
A lot of people will be in trouble because when you pick up the young people for guns and ammunition,
yes,
right, and you charge them and whatnot, their parents then will be in trouble because if they want bail or anything, I don't think you can get bail for guns and ammunition.
Yeah.
Right? But they got to find money for lawyers and all them kind of thing.
Of course.
So, right? But the thing is, if your bottom open on the seas, right, the guns coming from where? We open to all kind of mischievous actions.
It's an island. We are all. This man is a volcanologist and a geologist, and he don't know that an island is a piece of land completely surrounded by water, and therefore, of course, if you have an issue with respect to contraband and persons who are attempting to enter your country because of the opportunity that it presents, that you have to close your borders, and you don't close it as a door. He's so stupid. He will tell you if you say a dome, he mean that you put a cover over Trinidad and all them kind of hogwash to try to appear to be funny with very serious matters, and he claiming to be a prime minister and of course an intelligent man. I am sure, like you, I'm extremely fed up with the shenanigans and the misinformation, disinformation, gun talk that has nothing to do with the manifest problems that are prevailing in Trinidad and Tobago, and this incompetent group, unfortunately, have been mandated to solve them and have failed. But go ahead, my friend.
So the state of emergency doesn't take in the borders on the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. That, up to now, nothing is being said on that, right?
Well, nothing can be said. No, there is, of course, a regulation in place for that. The thing about it is that he has been silent. He has been definitely silent. Like if he get pipped on the question of availability of boats in order to, of course, man and to, of course, secure our borders.
So I want to go here now with when I started with the emails, right?
Yeah.
And I want to say this, Mr. Rowley, here what's going on. Pack your Jahaji bundle and go.
No, not just now, not September. No.
Listen, no, because this thing is from email gates to prisongates.com.
Yes, right. Yes, and of course, I think the background video will appropriately reflect what has to happen. Procession after procession.
Prison gates.
Yes, the entire cabinet must be, of course, imprisoned.
From email gate to prison gates.
Yes, the prison gates. That's right. Thank you very much, of course. I like that.
So when you close keep it shut, and that's it.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. All right, I have Mr. Faizaman here, so yeah, we have to.
Okay,
bye-bye. Yes. Mr. Faizaman, go ahead. Sorry about that.
That's okay, Mr. Lennox. A pleasant good evening and good night to all your listeners.
Yes, indeed.
And share your life.
Yes, man.
And to all the contributors. Thank you for making this program a success. And all the contributors and callers and international listeners, keep in touch that how our sweet Twin Island is being decimated by a man of no substance. And once again, a Tobagonian who come to this head of the government without any pride and respect for humanity, especially the women of this country. No respect, none. And it seems as though You have to be a nasty, disobedient, washing mouth on women and saying degrading things on women to be the leader of the PNM. And they say, show me a liar and I'll show you a thief. So all these diversion and obstacles they are putting in our life in Trinidad here. You, the listeners in the foreign land, I'll talk to you all tonight by God's grace through Uncle Lennox. Because here what's going on. We have a general election for 2025. This is what we call an election year. And by the constitution and the laws of the country, by the end of August 2025, a date has to be set for the general election, that the people have the right to go to the polls and choose a leader or a government, to form a government to rule the people. So if Rowley had come, and just remember now, all these are things that he's doing as a strategy, just like Maduro in Venezuela. So he come now with the SOE. He come now and extend it for the next 3 months. So when we check the 3 months inwards, see how close it is. So it absorbs, as I was saying on this program, that it take away the 5 months of ordinary time, which you could just rule as normal time, and will push it into the overlapping of the 90 days to call it on the date it's due. So which means Keith Christopher Rowley, the leader of the PNM, he is leaving, and there's nothing they are saying about the date for election. So the successors, they don't know who is the leader or what. But we see now where is the PNM structure is collapsed, and all the diversion and who love the PNM saying that is great. Just imagine you went in with 9-11, 9-4 and 11 against. You telling me now, all of a sudden, when you reach in Balize House, the Ovia take all of them and they vote to endorse Tiotiong. But we are not stupid. Watch and see Miss Penelope Beckles when she stormed out of Balize House, and watch her body language. So you see, people have to understand that all the ills, we talk about the road paving, we talking about the corruption, we talk about the mismanagement, but we are not talking about the EBC, that they are not doing what they're supposed to do and what they have to get done. Nobody is talking about that line where the EBC is supposed to get $10 million to start the place and to go and get the list. The list is the important thing about it. Because just imagine, you have seen in track records with Colin in there in cases gone by when they had it to go to court and he was talking about voter pardon, house pardon, right? Now we don't know the correctness who dead. And in this country, since they put the vaccine on people mandatory as a dictator, a lot of citizens have passed on. And we would like to know these people's names are off the list. Because when you see somebody else have an ID card and you see it on social media, people of not origin of Trinidadian born or look-alike having a national ID card, that make me wonder what it is going on in our country. So the outside people, please write the Carter Foundation and lobby. Start being a lobby for our country. Because right now, Haiti have barbecue. But what we have what? Roast human beings? Because barbecue take over in Haiti. And what we will have in Trinidad. So our life, our destiny, and our future, after 9 years of derelict service to our citizens in the hospital, the pension, and things that serve we the people is taken away. And then you hear Paula Gopi School saying that no commercial and no industrial property tax for businesses. Not yet. So you see what they intend to do in coming year if they re-elect them? They will put it down our throat, shove it down our throat, and you have to take it. And my observation is that this SOE is that the PNM grassroots supporters would have been on the street, so he's trying to keep them quiet till they forget and they calm down. So nobody didn't protest it, nobody didn't come out and voice their opinion on it. So it stifled the people, and mainstream media is not highlighting it. So Mr. Lennox and your listeners, I thank you for listening to what I'm saying, and if I make any sense, I thank you. And if I hurt all the feelings and I didn't make no sense, I apologize for that. Have a pleasant good night.
You are very modest, my friend. All contributions make sense on this program. Of course, why some people may be more articulate than others. The fact of the matter is that I am here, and others who would, of course, call in from time to time will certainly, of course, rectify that and make the necessary adjustments. So because it is about what I learn about language, which, of course, only the human being possess, is that it is about communication. And once, of course, the matter is communicated, then it makes sense. No matter whether you're talking green verb, black verb, or stink verb, as the case may be. Because when Dr. Rowley speaks his misogynic and nasty statements, we know what he means by it. Why? Because he's using, of course, the medium of language. But that being as it may, the caller raised a very important point, that all of the shenanigans and all of the to-in and fro-in and the convulsions that is taking place within the bosom of the PNM, we must not lose sight. We must not lose sight, because Dr. Rowley will see that as a perfect opportunity, the opportunist that he is, to try to, of course, defocus attention from institutions, and in this case, of course, the EBC. Well said, my friend. Well said. We must keep our eyes fixed on the EBC, because it is that institution that Rowley used in the run-up to the ultimate decision that resulted in the ultimate decision by the apex court of this country, talking about, of course, the Privy Council that said, listen, Rowley, you try, of course, to usurp the right of the people to vote, and to vote for who they wish, and when, of course, there is an established process. And so, of course, you have been guilty of undermining the electoral process in Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, Rowley will go to the parliament and say that he pleads not guilty. Well, guilty was already pronounced by the Privy Council. But we will look at some other, what I consider to be uninformed, or should I say, incongruent statements that he makes, that makes him, of course, a puerile, infantile, and my little son, 9 years, could make a better excuse than him in that regard. But we will look at that, and I will prove that to you in a while. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night. Good night. Lennox, how are you doing?
I'm all right, my friend. Well,
nice.
As far as I'm concerned, there's a procession to the Balizé jail. You know, you see the bars and all of that. Yeah.
Well, I see the bars, but we had to get locked for them bars, boy.
Yeah.
We had to get locked for them bars because they keep opening and closing. I want to stay closed. Well, here what. But one of my issues is that I wanted to find out what this man really said in Parliament.
Yes.
He's saying, I mean, and this making me think now. They say that the police officers and them are scared of the bandits, I should say. If they are scared of these gangs and whatever, the police or the TTPS is the only defense we have. Them are between us and them, being the citizen. So what is going to take place now? If he say now that them is not, they're scared, running scared. So who's to defend we know? Who's to protect us in the country? Who? Him?
That's
right.
If you take Rowley's argument and his statement seriously, if you take it seriously, clearly, because he is the Prime Minister, head of the National Security Council, but I want to tell you, extremely irresponsible, extremely reckless, extremely brutal, and he will generate a panic mood scenario because he has a pernicious agenda for saying what he has said. But go ahead, because of course the police and them are not taking that kindly, and I'll show you in other circumstances where he said similar things that was only for his own agenda and his own aggrandizement, is to put, of course, the population in panic and to give the impression that somehow the SOE is achieving the objective.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for what he verbally but illusionarily projected it to the population. But go ahead, my friend, give your analysis.
Yes. So the next, right. So the next thing now is that I want to know if we need a new commissioner of police, because she's now saying what he is saying is wrong. She's standing up for her officers. So I'm just saying, are we now going to be looking for a new commissioner because she's going against him? Is that another way of saying, well, that is it? I can't fight crime no more. Let me get out. Let me say something so you can fire me and get out of jail card free. You understand what I'm saying? She's just trying to say something.
I will make my comment. I hear you, and all what you're saying is so. And of course, when you take it logically, but when you are familiar with the thinking pattern of Rowley, you will understand why he would say what he would have said. But go ahead.
Yes,
I don't know if you have it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. So my final thing is this. I guess that we could just say no. We're hoping now and that everybody open their eyes and see what's going on, and then we vote out this PNM for once and for all. This Kobo man can't be wrong and we are told. It just it don't make sense. It don't make sense, and especially well, what about your partner before I leave? Your partner GG. Your partner GG. Which is here? What going on with you? All the time we need that. To be honest with you, Lennox, as God is a witness, I mean, I don't try to be the biblical thing here to bring it into this, but I thought that was Stuart Young and his stepdaughter. That was the scenario with that. I never knew until
well, it is clear with Gary, I will say that any port for a storm, because clearly one would have expected that he would have been so stridently opposed to the PNM, having regard, of course, to the embarrassment at the public imbroglio that Rowley had descended on him. But clearly he is saying now that he is prepared, of course, from the question that was asked posed to him, and his response is that he's prepared, of course, to lie in bed with the PNM. And that is very, very, very troubling. So it means, therefore, all of the embarrassment and all of the recriminations between he and Rowley and the excoriations and the vitrials that was leveled at him and the embarrassment to get him out of office unceremoniously seemed to be something of the past, in my view, from what I've been hearing. But go ahead. I don't know if you want to conclude.
Yes. Well, as I said, so let me tell you this. Yeah. I believe that he's a madman. To be a madman, is how I put it.
Yeah, clearly.
And that's it. So
he is criminally.
Let me say good night, so that you could continue and you could have another caller coming in. Yes. But pleasant good night, and don't forget, I need my wording of this Prime Minister. I need my wording before. All right.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Yes, of course. It is called manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis. It refers to a fellow who have lost sight of all sense of reality. Spontaneously, he is pathologically destined to, of course, doing what he is doing, and we will deal with that in a while. A pleasant good night to you. Welcome. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see if all right. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, good night again, Dr. Lennox.
Yes. Good night.
I hear a caller say, if the police afraid, what we'll do. But it have a whole regiment with real men, with real guns, right? So as I say, I see that as just to stop things.
Yeah, the red herring is a red herring to generate panic.
And affect the
yeah, and to deflect and towards, of course, justifying not calling the elections on time. When of course he castigated Kamala for the same thing back in 2015. This man is a criminal of exceptional degree, and he must be treated as such. That is why tonight, of course, is jail for all of them.
Yeah, because you have a whole regiment you're talking about police afraid and all kind. I noticed. I thank you, Lennox.
Yes, no problem. Well, quickly, just before the next call. The next call is here. Let me see if it is coming on the system. I prefer it on the system, so let me take a little while. All right, it's not coming on the system, so I'll have to use the handset. President, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night, my friend.
This is Diego Martin inside.
Yes, Mr. Diego Martin, go ahead.
Now, the man accused the police for closing up the station and pulling down blinds and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're following their boss. I mean to say, what Fitzgerald is doing, not sleep on the job. So he's falling and sleeping on the job, no big thing. But he had a famous meeting at the Napa with them. Okay. You remember that? Where he had all the hierarchy.
Caller, just tell me where you're from, so I'll tell you, you'll know if it's you I'm speaking to. But I'm talking to Mr. Diego Martin now, and if you can hold on a bit, all right?
Right.
St. Anthony's.
All right, okay, Mr. St. Anthony's. Just hold on. All right, go ahead, Mr. Diego Martin.
Right. So I'm saying he had the opportunity to give direction to the police when he met them at Napa, when it had the shootout at the Roseville School. What came out of that meeting? That meeting was basically with the whole of the police service. At that particular day, nothing happened. There was no guidance of the department. So he had all of them there, sitting down, listening to him. He was commanding them to do certain things. It had a shootout. Did they investigate that shootout next to the school? We heard nothing about that.
Yeah.
So when you have issues like that, the people who did it got confidence of doing it again with no response from a sleeping minister and a sleeping head of National Security Council.
Yes.
Remember when you went to the mosque and you fall asleep?
No, I think it's more shenanigan. It's more shenanigan in the sense that it is hogwash that he's engaged in. I think he trying, of course, to panic and in that process deflect at the same time, because he is an opportunist and a political kubo.
He will come now to try to win them over and say, look, we go.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do, and at the same time, of course,
4% to 5% to win them, because the police service, let's face it, it is in a declining, just like the country, collapsing.
Yeah.
Because I've heard Prakash Ramadan today made a very, very good. He said he's back into politics because we have seen our country decline so rapidly. Just like I mentioned a couple of days on the doorstep of history.
And don't forget, we have another caller on the line because these days things are rapid, so we have to be rapid as well.
Right, but the other thing I want to come to Gigi quick.
You go ahead.
The fact that Gigi have identified himself as the cousin of the stepdaughter, there is one particular thing in the back of my mind.
Go ahead.
Because Gigi come and say he basically went on that raid and arrest. There was a black
that is absent. That is the elephant in the atmosphere. What has transpired? What did he do as Commissioner of Police? That raid occurred under his watch. What transpired? Is now we know is your family. and connected to Churchong as well.
Let's face it. Missing files again. You'll see where that is goes nowhere. Missing files are gone.
Okay, my friend. Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Sentence.
Yeah, President, good night, Uncle Lennox.
Good night to you as well. Yes.
I want to find out something for you.
Go ahead.
In the current constitution, it's only 2 non-bailable offenses in the constitution, right?
In the current one, yes. No, one. No. I want to tell you, recently, even murder is bailable now. So it's only one treason.
Yes. No, so that's the reason why I asked her. So it's piracy and treason, right?
Right. Yes. Okay.
That was the 2.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. You're right. I didn't consider piracy, but go ahead. That is so damn old. That is impossible to have pirates these days. But go ahead. Yes.
I want to make something. I want to take a contribution with regards to something I observe now, right? No, I mean not about police work and thing, but something I observe now. The former administration that built a brand new station in Brasso.
Yes.
Like in Central, they don't in Kappa Road. For some apparent reason, like some unit, I think, I don't know if it's a child protection unit or some unit, they're storing documents.
And storing archive. Archive facility. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So you had that whole Caparo, Tabakit, right? Tabakit, from Tabakit Rio Clara Road, which is somebody composite going back to Rio side.
A whole geographic.
And then you had the Tabakit.
Yeah.
Right, and then you had the Tabakit Garakara Road, which is kind of back down to Williamsville and all back that side.
Yeah.
Right? So you had that whole dense place, right? That whole central region there, not properly managed by the police service. He said that somebody get called 999, I could get some kind of quick response in a 4 or 5 minutes time.
Yes. Yeah.
All let's see the games people are playing.
Yeah.
You understand? So that is my contribution for the night before. Have a good night.
Yeah, you see, it is all part of this government's dismantling of those security apparatus that was in place by the former administration. You see, Rowley's and the PNM philosophy, and for them that is the politics to be appear to be optimally in charge. So when they dismantle what the predecessor, particularly if it is a different party, in this case of course the UNC, that somehow they could beat the chest and say that they are powerful. Well, everything has exploded on them. They spit in the sky and it fell in their face, or it has fallen in their faces. Everything has turned out to be a disaster. And what has happened is that what they have done is, of course,
Lennox. If you hear me, your mic off, check your mic. Nobody in here on the line.
All right. All right, I think we are back up and running. Sorry about that. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Hello? Caller? All right, sorry about that. We had a disruption earlier. All right. Please call now. We are back to normal. Boy, it happens. It happens. So of course, but the point I was making is that all of what Rowley is doing is part and parcel of his what I consider to be myopic, narrow, vindictive, evil, and diabolical plot to first and foremost not having had a plan, because he took, of course, the 2020 vision and make it 2030, and you see nothing of the sort to suggest that there is some kind of relevance and or tendency towards. But let's go back to the line. All right. A pleasant good night. Sorry about that. Welcome.
Yeah. What I call to say is, because we blaming camera, we blaming camera for the crime. The PNM party, we blaming camera for the crime in the country. When they don't blame camera for the crime in the country, they was blaming the people, we the people, for the crime in the country. Now they want to blame the police for the crime in the country. Yeah. But let me tell you something, Lennox Smith. Rowley is the one to blame for the crime in this country. Because God sent a white man from Canada to come and bring out Rowley know all the bandits. And Rowley know all the gang leaders. Rowley, they have the gun, they're holding it in the hand and showing Rowley. Rowley is the man to blame. The Rasta man, the cold cut mouth man, the commissioner of police, them is the one to blame. And the president silent. She's a silent PNM president. Now you want to blame the hard-working police force in this country, and he's the cause of this crime to reach in this condition. According to Tishera, the last Minister of Finance with the PNM, she said, Rowley know everything what's going on in this country. But those are the ones that support him to win the election, so he don't want to do nothing. He bring SOE to show the people in the country how he care about them, how he care about the people in the country from crime. But he bring this to show, let the criminals be free. It has nothing going on in this country, the civil SOE. It had California with Calypso, it had party, it had fest, it had high music, it had gun, it had killing, it had everything. Now we have this country in a mess. Now you want to blame the police force? I blame Rowley and the PNM for the crime in this country. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much, of course. And your blame is well placed, is obvious, and I'm sure you will get unanimity, not a majority of you, but unanimity with that assessment of the reality. You see, the idea is clear that Rowley and they never, of course, catered for the management of the country, and what they did they were engaged in what I consider to be hypothetical, opportunistic, unrealistic, amorphous positioning that they could do better, that vote for them, and you will of course see utopia, and it has turned out to be dystopia, as their ugly management of the society, even to today, continues of course to concern the population. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Mr. Raleigh.
Yes, my friend. Welcome.
I call him Mr. Raleigh, you know. I'm calling Mr. Lennox.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, my friend.
Lennox, remember what I told you? I think it was last year sometime.
Mr. Tucker, hold on. We have a caller on the line.
Yeah, hold on.
Right.
Yes, go ahead.
Remember I told you, that man is a dangerous man?
Very, to the extreme.
I told you months ago that man, Raleigh, is a dangerous man. He will do anything. He bring out SOE not for anybody benefit, for his benefit, you know.
Of course it is.
For the same reason. For the same reason to manipulate the election.
That's right.
That's all it is, you know.
That's all that is
That's
about.
all it is.
To stay in government.
That's all it is. It has nothing to do.
Yeah, to continue to rob the country.
With the criminals.
Yeah.
He want to have no election. I'm telling you what I know. I see that. He want to do same thing like Maduro. What Maduro was doing, the same exact thing that he teach him. Right? And now, he put the SOE so the people cannot come protest or come out. Now, what way he doing to the police now, Mr. Lennox? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, my friend.
Right, look, Mr. Lennox, what way he doing now? He put the police in a dangerous position. As I was saying the ground report this morning.
Yes.
He telling the criminal that the police is afraid of them. So now, they are giving them the upper hand on them. Look, I have a nephew policeman. That's my brother's son. Right? It's a police down there. You know what he said? I is scared for my life. I is going them. He is going them. Go after them criminal thing, drug bust and this and that. And it's all kind of thing place, and they're scared for their life. He said the kind of weapon them have, we don't have that. So they're scared for their life, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, and the government itself created the conditions for them to have the kind of weapons that the police know that they have, and is only in certain circumstances where they catch them offside, they might effect an arrest, but on a one-on-one, and and if they were prior to whatever invasion or raid, they would have been informed by the very police officers as well. It means therefore it will be a revolving door, as some say, or a state where they will never be caught.
Yeah, and he's not for Raleigh.
Yeah,
but he has to do his job.
Raleigh
He's not for them. I'm telling you, a lot of them is not for that police. Don't feel away. They're not for him, and they don't like him, you know.
Yeah.
But they have to do that to keep the job.
Of course,
they have to do the job.
They have the cloak of the power by way of the law, and Raleigh
right, exactly.
Exploits that to the hilt, because he's prime minister, and that comes with a certain amount of clout, and he of course exploits that, but not to the citizenry benefit, but to his own benefit and his narrow group of persons who he prefer and rather.
But Lennox, by saying that in Parliament, that's a dangerous thing you say, you know. That the police now is hiding and taking up the light. That is what are you creating, man?
It's not the first time he has done that. We will deal with that afterwards.
What he's doing?
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing, man?
Yeah, not the first time. Yeah, we have others on the line. So later.
All right.
Okay then. Bye bye.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller. Tango, go ahead.
Everybody?
Yes, loud and clear, my friend. Go ahead.
Right. Two things I want to talk.
Go ahead.
The first one.
Yes.
They have a coward as the Minister of National Security.
Right. Okay.
When them fellas throw water lines and run him out in the Vitamni.
Yeah.
Then he imagine God to turn around and face them.
Yeah.
And them ain't no criminal. They're just frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And them keep Minister of National Security.
Yeah. well, he had no choice. The PNM has run out of talent. You saw that in Tobago in the recent screening. What happened? The same people who clearly the Tobagoans have rejected are the ones that are going back up only because they either want to save face as a Tobago element or that they cannot, of course, neglect the 30 pieces of silver that they are being paid in order to, of course, betray the people of Tobago and by extension Trinidad.
But the criminals already know from since the incident with Heinz that he's a blasted coward.
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, in Lavatil, he's called the peacock. Plenty depth, but no substance.
You know about some people dog on the road.
Yeah, those kinds of things where they have a clear advantage because of the office they hold. But as soon as he gets out of office, for example, when Manning had spit him out, he was all over Bath Street begging people to, of course, wash his clothes for him and so on. And of course, would come in there, very innocuous and of course very and gingerly, like if he can't mash eggshell. yeah.
And
so we know he's a blasted coward. That way he is, yeah.
Yeah, and the only big talk he is talking in the parliament.
Yeah, that's only braggadocio. That's only hyperboles and grandiose talk, pretending to be bombastic and somehow belligerent. But really and truly, they are hollow and they are total and absolute cowards.
Let me tell you something. If anybody confront Heinz on the road, even though he has gun in his pocket, or 2-3 man come at he dropping gun and surrendering and running, you know. Because he's a coward.
Yeah, well, there were one or two instances of that, but I want to give a hilarious end to this chapter. I mean, he would see two of his colleagues being attacked, but he wouldn't stand up there and watch that happen. He will run.
Now I'm saying.
Yeah, he would run.
Well, the next thing I want to tell you about, you see how the church police station?
Yeah.
Ben Joseph Lynch was in charge of that.
Mm-hmm.
Inspector Lynch, that's when Jim Rodriguez was the commissioner of police.
Uh-huh.
You think anybody can arrive outside there and wait to shoot anybody? Well, Lynch used to call it a lie and there was serious police enough.
But watch me, the bizarre specter in this country, you can't make a movie like this. Now, apart from, it's not the first time that a fella get gunned down outside a police station, you know. It happened on Besson Street and it happened in Belmont as well, outside the Belmont police station. It's similar circumstance. People go to sign the books, of course. Coming up and say, well, listen, put braces on their feet, those tracking braces, so that at least they wouldn't have to come out there and come to the station and expose, of course, the security apparatus to that kind of unnecessary, what I consider be violence. So you do that in your community and you're going. But no, you have to go there to sign a book. So you must go. If you don't, of course, the same police will come looking for you, or wherever they catch you off guard, they then, of course, execute the warrant in order, of course, for you to go to court. So we have that situation developing. So it's not the first time, and yet still they have not found any solution. And to talk about police closing up station and cutting off lights and so on, that's part of the exaggeration of this fella. He come up with these phantasmagorical stories in order to have his way, and as one caller said, it's about trying to postpone the elections, trying to deflect the elections, trying, of course, to take to take more time than reasonably will be expected before, of course, the party inevitable, whosoever is prime minister, must call the elections. But go ahead.
Dixon take well offense to that till I tell listen to on television.
Yeah. That's how any right-thinking Trinbagonian who have a deep respect for democracy, the rule of law, and the processes involved in the electoral process will certainly have no choice but to treat with that in that way and to call it for what it is. It is a blatant, of course, attempt to hijack our democracy, and we must see it for what it is.
But getting back to what was celebrated in Inspector Lynch.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I don't know if you could remember.
Yeah.
They used to call him the lion.
All right. Well, of course, we have some other callers too, so we have to be very short now because we have to.
Yeah, I finish now.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
If you're talking Laventille, you must remember that. A fella named Oscar King. And Oscar King climbed down in a vat and hide and he don't want to come out.
Yeah.
Lynch went up there with a bullhorn and a crew and he called him to tell him to come out today. He said, King, come out today, I'll blast you out today. And he crawled out and he come out.
Right, yeah, that's the King brothers. That would have been in the 2005 thereabout, where of course the.
That in the 1980s.
1980s one now. That's not the Kings I talk about. There's a group of Kings from Laventille. Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks very much. Yes.
And you climbed down in a vat, right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Lennox.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Of course. All right, a pleasant good night, Tobago.
Yes, one. Silver Fox here, the one and only.
Yes, my friend, go ahead.
Let me say something, and we have to be real.
Okay.
To win this election, we have to have observers, and we have to have security following these police officers and them with this ballot box to carry to check.
Yeah. There must be a mechanism to follow them. Yeah.
You have to get police. You have to get security to follow these fellas.
Yeah.
Because they will change the box.
Yes.
Right? Let me say something.
Laventille, could you hold on? Success Village, hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Tobago.
No, Rowley is surrounded with evil spirits.
Yeah.
Spiritual forces that all do see.
Yes.
And he doesn't know what he does touch on his skin before he come to talk. You wouldn't know that, right? Because it's look around, look how much things this one man do, and he's still in power. Something has to be wrong. He's a papa duck. We have to accept that. So we is in between a rock and a hard place, but God is the one that take away that evil from you. And God is the one that protect us against him.
Yes.
And we have to believe. We have to believe that he has no strength. Anytime you believe in he has strength, because the more killing that going on in Trinidad, the stronger he come in.
Yeah.
That blood, the blood. Just that blood. You wouldn't believe how that blood is important.
Yeah.
To wicked men. Right?
Yeah.
So we have to be focused, vote, come out and vote, and look around to see.
That's all the people have to do, and that's
right?
it. And
And
the problem
follow
solved.
these ballot boxes.
Because he must call elections.
Follow them.
All the power
Follow,
he believes he has. No
he
Obia.
has to call
No
election. He
Obia
have to.
could overcome.
Right?
Could overcome that.
We
He must call elections.
We as a people have a duty to do is to come out and vote in our numbers. Just keep voting. Just keep UNC. Vote UNC. Don't let nothing else to trigger your head off. UNC, and we will get there. We will get there, but we have to get observers and foreign observers, because he will not want to go to jail. They will want to stay there because the corruption they do.
Yeah, that's what he's doing all of that. He's testing. It's called brinksmanship. Take things to the edge and
right?
generate chaos and believe that somehow that will save him. He must call election. Election must be called in this country, and the people are waiting and set like Mapapi.
Yes, because some of the people can't talk because the position in the work, they have to keep quiet, but their finger go do it.
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago, let all your finger look like UNC and stay UNC and vote UNC and vote the criminals out of power.
Yes.
The wicked, the bad, the ugly, the satanic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Tobago. Let's go straight, of course, to Success Village. I believe it is. Lavatil.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox, and good night to everybody who's on the chat.
Yes.
Mr. Lennox, listen, you know, when I hear this Prime Minister speaking in Parliament yesterday, you know, this fake oration and all these kind of things, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, hey, this guy wants to bring this country into a state of chaos in such a way that he could walk out easy, knowing that he bring this country into this kind of chaotic state. And we, the citizens now, paying a price for his evil, right? But this man trying all how to not to make a jail, but he know he jail sure. Because right now I show all of them Bamsi clapping like a church service, you know.
Oh yes, like a church of it. Maybe a sparse audience that the PNM is able to, of course, conjure up these days. They clapping like that.
Yes.
Yeah. But of course, in that case, it's reluctantly. But of course, maybe more like a UNC audience, when of course you get loud applause among other things. But go ahead.
Well, listen, just like how they do all kind of things to get all you off the ground report.
Yes.
You know, this right looking at a program called TCN Heavy. I don't know if it's the same thing they're doing again to TCN Heavy. They want to get them off the program and on the other station.
Yeah, that's the modus operandi of the PNM. Yeah, anything that are legitimate and are going to expose their iniquities, because they wanted to be an evil group of individuals, a criminal in nature, do us evil, and then somehow want to stay there to continue to do us evil, because they are set in their ways, and by now all of Trinidad and Tobago must know who they are. Even those who are, let's say, amorphously or in a state of futility, trying to defend the indefensible. It just can't work. I heard, of course, the fella they call Mr. Polo Spain trying his best, but poor fella, he always putting his foot in his mouth, and of course talking outright lies, and then of course he engages, of course, in personality attacks, and that is when you know that they are empty and of course vacuous. Go ahead.
But Lennox, listen, you know this fella called Polo Spain.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just wonder, you know, it is fella that's defecate through his mouth, you know, because the kind of thing that's come out of that. I don't know, something wrong with that guy.
He dead. He believe he bright. Kill him dead.
Oh, cool.
I could imagine the amount of exams he failed, because if you had to end up to be in a car park, and I gave him a nice name, of course. I gave him the name car park technician. It speaks volumes, yes, as to the level at which he is at and was at. Go ahead.
Listen, Mr. Lennox, I can't wait for when election comes, because I know this man trying his uttermost best to stretch the election, and I mean, bring it to such a stretch that he might even want to call election, right? But you know you have to call it, right? I can't wait to stick my finger in that ink, you know, just to get rid of that evil, you know.
The entire nation, Trinidad and Tobago, because of
these
course
people
everybody knows, and that is why I keep telling people when the one or two persons attempting, of course, to fallaciously and ineffectively and amorphously, or have some kind of notion that somehow he could get away because it's a cult. No, it's ordinary men with criminal tendency and utilizing their brain and what opportunity they would have gotten because of where they are to exploit and explore for their personal aggrandizement. And in the case of the PNM and the entire cabinet, they have committed criminal acts against the people and must pay the price of a criminal nature.
Definitely.
Prison, and they will
Definitely.
still be subjected to, of course, the civil law as well, because they will have to explain how they get their money, including
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. God bless.
Same to you,
Have
my
a blessed
friend.
night.
Yes, well, of course, that brings me straight to the point that I was going to make. It's not the first time that Rowley has done that. It's not the first time, of course, that somebody died or was killed in front of a police station. Of course, that happened recently in front of Besson Street, but it also happened sometime before that, not too far, in 2024, in front of the Belmont station, in similar circumstance. So let's not waste time with that. But of course, the other issue that I want to raise is the fact that Rowley, not for the first time, will throw a state agency under the bus. He will defy them. He will betray them for his ego to somehow fly. That kobo of that predator of a politician and prime minister, and a despicable human being. Despicable. The protoplasm of which living things are made. Or put another way, best he was the placenta, the afterbirth, rather than, of course, having such a despicable individual elevated to the office of prime minister in this country and perform so what I consider to be horrendously. You see, when Al-Rari's children held those guns and the video went viral, it was Rowley who said that not only because up to now Al-Rari has not said that it is his children, but Rowley said it's his children. And then he went on to say, don't get me vexed before I play it, for you who, of course, don't like to hear the truth. You don't like to hear the truth, you sycophants and you apologists. But the fact of the matter is, he said that, listen, it was the army that, of course, issued and caused those videos to go viral. And if that is so, he don't want them to guard he. He don't want them to guard he. What has he said? That he has thrown, of course, the army under the bus. So it's no surprise for his political survivability, which he has none, and his electability, that has gone through the door. In other words, 0-0. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Dr. Lennox. Good night again.
Yes, my friend. Go ahead.
I get in late today, but I'll be very brief. But,
yes, go ahead.
But listen to this. Yes. This is the second time within weeks that Dr. Rowley has thrown two arms of the national security under the bus. The fire services, when the minister died.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he appointed a 3-man committee to investigate them.
Yes, which
and
we
now
have heard nothing of since. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and now the police, which sounds awful internationally.
Yes.
Can you imagine what the people outside thinking about us?
It's obvious is a banana republic,
well, of course.
a Somalia in the making, and the genesis or the embryonic stage of being one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, or the poorest, are talking about associated with Haiti. That is a category of a country that Trinidad and Tobago is, with a high degree of rapidity, is headed for. We already have a number 6 on a world survey of the most dangerous country in the world. We also have, of course, in the Western Hemisphere, it is established all over, of course, the media networks in the United States and elsewhere in all democracies, that, of course, per capita, we have the most terrorists. And when Kamala Persad-Bissessar would have gone and signed, of course, that convention with Obama and the Prime Minister of Jamaica to, of course, generate and to create the anti-international terrorist convention at the UN, Rowley was against it. He gets an opportunity to be Prime Minister, and he don't want to sign anything to recognize that Maduro is an evil man and, of course, violating human rights in his country. So much so, we are affected here because over 7 million of the 27 million people in Venezuela has migrated out of Venezuela, and we have over 100,000 of them here. And this man did that to us. So foreign policy, domestic policy, economic policy, and of course his moral and ethical standards is not just waning, but of course is below the white line. That's to tell you how low it is. But go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but hear this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you aware that they have a new ad on the office of the Prime Minister?
No, I'm not aware.
Yeah, but I took it off because I couldn't bear it. I couldn't see it.
Okay.
I can't stomach this man at all. But it have a new ad. You might be able to see it. Something similar to like conversation with the Prime Minister. But it have a ad where yeah. So this man trying everything possible.
He will do that. He will do that. He will do that. He certainly will have some kind of what I consider to be reconcile within himself, even though that is part of his theatrics. That is not sincere. It is always some evil, sinister actor that he conjures up. So, but just as the devil, he comes, of course, or like the fox, I believe it is, when the fox or the other cousin of the fox, when they go into a fall run, they make friends with the poultry, with the cock and the hen and so on, and eventually, of course, they are made dinner. Yeah.
All right. So here, another thing too, right? But yeah. I want to send 3 items for you.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you had gotten the Calypso by Explainer. You must
Which one?
I'm listening to the chorus. Explainer.
Which one?
We just can't go on this way.
We just can't go on this way. I don't have it. No, I don't have it.
Right?
No. All right, okay.
Right.
But
no, I sent it to you. You didn't get it.
Okay. We can't go on this way. All right.
I sent it to you via. I sent it to you via what? Just listen to the chorus, the lyrics of the Calypso.
All right, good.
And you will depict Rowley in that.
All right. Thank you very much. Of course, just as how my show has adequately, of course, described way back in the 60s, and it shows that Trinidad and Tobago has stand still, really. Because if that was a problem, that my show, similar to what is today, under the PNM, and of course, the founding father of the PNM, Eric William was in charge. It means that therefore they have not learned anything, and we have not progressed as a nation, and therefore we must now be seriously contemplating to get rid of PNM as a political entity. And I frankly believe that I will go so far as a government, if I was a government, to ban them from, of course, having any political association or relations in Trinidad as a party, because they are simply, of course, detrimental to Trinidad and Tobago. They are toxic and evil. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll leave it to continue because I see that you got a lot of calls tonight.
Yes, my friend.
Complete your, right? Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good night.
Same to you, yes. And of course, we continue to show that it is not the first time that Dr. Rowley will do things like these, to throw, of course, institutions under the bus. We saw, of course, when he with respect, of course, to the Police Service Commission, he said in uncertain terms that he has a right, of course, to speak, and we saw where, of course, it turned out that he destroyed it in the process when he made the intervention that, of course, created what Gary Griffith is today, having regard, of course, to the situation that Gary Griffith found himself in because of Rowley's evil intent and conduct. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night again, Lennox.
Yes,
Lennox,
yes.
I need to be educated on something, and maybe you could tweak it for me, and I'll be listening off here. But there's 2 things I want to mention.
Go ahead.
One, we're talking about what is he said in Parliament concerning the officers, all right?
Yeah,
we know what it is he said.
Yes, I know.
How that, now this is going to affect, now we have Carnival coming up in the next couple of weeks or months or whatever. What about the tourists and then hearing that now on the outside? You think they're going to be coming in here?
Well,
knowing that the officers and them cannot defend them because the Prime Minister said so.
Well,
although we know that we have hard-working police officers,
apart
right?
from that, understand, they just got a 3 months extension. What that means that we are inter-carnival, right? So your point is taken. Your point, but I want to tell you as well, the promise that is that commerce and business will not be affected is a fallacy, is another fake narrative that, of course, that they concoct and is a figment of their imagination, because there were two boats in Tobago that turned back, and one in Trinidad where the captain said don't come up because there is an SOE in effect in these islands. So there you have it. I think the answer is clear. So that in terms of people coming here, that will be affected, and in terms of course the morale of the police, well. I wait to see what is happening, because I understand that the Commissioner of Police did respond, denying what Rory has been saying. But I want to tell you and everybody else as well, as I have been saying, that it's not the first time, not the second time, the third time. And the other significant time is when, of course, he said that nobody in the public service will get paid if they didn't vaccinate. Don't forget that.
Right.
Nobody,
yes,
and that includes the police.
Nobody.
That includes the police.
Yeah,
So
the
man is belligerent. He attacks institutions ruthlessly and relentlessly, even though unprovoked. And because he has the office of Prime Minister. That is all. That is all he does that for, because he has the power.
Yes.
The thief money because they have access to the governor of the central bank, and they have, of course, access to the various ministries, and the Ministry of Finance in particular will facilitate, and because those monies are available, they then go and steal it. That is what this government is all about, is a shambolic state of affairs. These people should not only be charged for treason and criminal behavior.
Yes, I think that I agree, but if I have to sign a petition, I will be signing on that.
The whole book should be thrown at them. The entire cabinet must be held criminally liable and accountable to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And Kamala Persad and the UNC, I know that they will pursue that, because even in opposition, they have brighter lawyers than, of course, the PNM could muster up. So we know.
Yeah. So my last two questions is I was listening to off here.
Yes.
One is in my humble believing, I think election wouldn't be called until 2026. Although we know it's supposed to have rules and regulation, but he's trying to push it further down. And secondly, is there a word, I'm looking for the word, where a government will have destroy its country in order for another group of people to take over, if you understand what I'm saying? It will physically destroy the country itself, so that let's say let's say a percent, well, I wouldn't call it one, but I would say a percent of somebody interested in it to take over and take over the country.
Well, the word
is there such a thing?
Well, the word that comes to mind immediately is perfidious total betrayal. Perfidious.
Okay.
That's a perfidious act by, of course, this group of miscreants and ne'er-do-wells, and therefore criminals under criminal enterprise called the PNM. All right, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, time. Good night.
Yes. Extremely perfidious. Look it up, people. Of course, those C and CXC students that normally view the program, look it up and add that, of course, to your vocabulary. Perfidious. All right. Betrayers. They are betrayers. All right. We have reached the end. Of course, it's 10 minutes past 10. Only will not catch me to go to 11 o'clock tonight. But a pleasant good night once again in the end part, in the terminus part of the program. Let me say, of course, it was wonderful, of course, doing it for you. But I just wanted to make the point that the entire cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago must be criminally scrutinized, investigated. And it goes beyond, of course, this SOE. It goes beyond, of course, they go into that monstrosity of steel, concrete, paint, etc., that they have stolen the resources of the country to build that monstrosity. It is called, of course, larceny, or a government that is, of course, of a kleptocratic nature, a government by thieves. Yes, a kleptocracy, government by thieves. And of course, we must therefore respond appropriately. And if to take away anything at all tonight, is that nobody must say that people or the people still consider them. No, you say certain people, qualify that number, a small portion. Those are the terms you must be using. Don't give a generic term, because you will be fueling their ego, their illusion. And as I said, all of them suffering from, of course, manic depressive psychosis. They have no sense of reality. They are in a perpetual state of illusion. And Rowley in particular is a serial, what I consider to be sociopathic, a serial sociopathic criminal. And therefore, when his turn to make a jail, he must be in such a facility for sociopaths that has a mental problem, but are criminal in terms of their evil behavior towards, of course, their fellow men and women. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow morning on the Ground Report, Andy, Mikey, and myself. And of course, tomorrow night, we return with these and other matters to treat with. And don't forget public servants, including, of course, all those security officers. It's not the first time Rowley has thrown you under the bus. Not the first time. As I said, during the COVID, he said, no salary, even if you volunteered to stay home and work. He said, no, you have to take the job. You have to take the job. And the only thing that saved the most of you to live and to see today is that the virality of the virus had been reduced. In other words, its potency was reduced by the various strains that were emerging, marking the end of the period for the hospitalization, the regular and intense hospitalization of citizens, of human beings, that the virus, COVID-19, exacted on populations, not just in Trinidad, but across the globe, but we are focused on Trinidad. But Rowley said, apart from calling a state of emergency, for that, it said that not one public servant can get a salary if they didn't take the job. That is dogmatism. That is criminal behavior. That is dictatorship, totalitarian, autocratic. But you could tell people that. And of course, as I spoke of placenta that he should have been, I also say, I don't know. And it may well be fake, because he wants to appear like some dictators, to be superior as a human being. Just like Putin, he rides horse and so on and engages in karate. Well, Rowley uses his mouth to generate phantasmagorical stories. And the one that I'm referring to suggest that somehow he is above ordinary human beings is that he get the blasted virus, he say he contracted it 3 times or 4 times. 3 times or 4 times. So people, stay firm, stay steadfast, stay committed, stay relentlessly committed to pursuing the end, the jettisoning, the annihilation of the PNM, and the day of rewards will be when the inevitable criminal investigation takes place, because it was the entire cabinet, in spite of 3 reports, not to close down Procession in the way that they did. The entire cabinet took the decision to close down Procession. We don't have the oil refinery now. And now we are suffering for $50 or $20 US in our respective banks. Take that on board. Take the other elements on board and understand that you have a role and responsibility, young people in particular, to go to the polls and let us return to the UNC and whatever configuration there is for the next elections, 39 seats, inclusive of the Laventils. Let those persons who I have given, of course, a heartache, an upset stomach, well, I want to say, haul all your tail. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye. Yes, indeed. I thought we would have completed. Let me just close out there and let me take this final call. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Dr. Lennox, I wanted to talk to you private.
All right, okay. Well, after the program. No, I ain't finished yet. I ain't finished yet. No, not yet. Huh? All right. Call me after. I ain't finished yet. All right?
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Everybody glad, everybody keeps saying no fun, we ain't saying that. We buy a boat and it never floating. Then we know it used to carry goat and we laughing. We laughing. Raise the salary with a big back pay and we trenching for workers every day and we laughing. We laughing. When election come and you wouldn't vote or you say in this we go cut it throat and we laughing. Everybody laughing. Everybody glad. Everybody keeps singing up on we in Trinidad.